Hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger, and I just wanted to wish everyone out there a happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. It's 2023. I had a great year. I stopped drinking alcohol in January. Everything was going great. I was just on this trajectory, and then somewhere at the end of September, it all just went into the toilet. So, looking forward. Well, it's Christmas. We saw, we got to see both of our children. My wife and I have two kids, and we have three grandchildren. So we got to see everybody. We're going to be getting together with my family. We're going to be getting together with my wife's family. They carried on the tradition of making the Swedish cardamom coffee bread that my mom used to make. My mom used to bake this stuff, and it was like, I can't tell you how good it was. It uses a spice called cardamom, and it's a unusual spice that's used in some like Arabic or Middle Eastern cooking. Maybe it might be Pakistani people who use it, and then Swedes use it. In this, they make uh, baked good. It's like this Swedish coffee bread, is what it is. So it's a braided loaf of like bread that has this flavor to it. You toast it in a toaster and serve it with butter. There really isn't toppings on it, like there isn't a bunch of what do you call that Americans put on donuts. There's no frosting or giant sugar crystals or any of that. It's just got this flavor that's a little unusual, but just delicious. So it's fantastic that they've carried on that tradition. My sister-in-law obtained the recipe, and they get together with the kids. So it's really a good-hearted thing that they do for the family. They bake this stuff, and then I'll end up getting a loaf of it, maybe. I already got a little bit. My daughter gave me part of hers, so maybe I'll usually they'll give one out. So I'm looking forward to that. And we've got my wife's thing. We're getting together with her uncle has a nice place. It's a big house. It's perfect for hosting the amount of people that'll be there. It's a good amount of people, a decent amount of people. So I'm looking forward to seeing. My wife has a cousin who had two boys, and one of them does music like more modern music where he's not so much using instruments but he's using the computer, and then the other one got into it playing viola. He went to Germany, like classical, and he's in school now. So I know he plays guitar. I played with him once. Him and his band got up and did a thing, and I asked him if I could sit on in and play bass on one of the songs. So that was like the last time that I played with a drummer. Was with my This is like my nephew kind of. So I have those two guys I can fall back on talking to them because we have that in common. So hopefully they'll be there and they'll feel like talking to me. You know how it is. Maybe I'm all of a sudden I'm not cool or I'm bad. From you never know with relatives, they might have a chip on their shoulder against you from something you didn't do. In my case, usually. So yeah, it's been a weird year for me. I'm living maybe a healthier lifestyle. I don't know. Am I healthier? I think I've lost some weight. I don't drink alcohol anymore, and I don't miss it. It hasn't. I hope it hasn't changed my personality. I know people they're like they quit smoking and they're like they can't stop going on and on about smoking, like how disgusting of a habit. Like, hey, you know, just because you quit doesn't mean everybody else has to now. So I'm trying to not celebrate my choice or make a big deal out of it that like I took an acid trip and that's how I sobered up. Like I don't have to go to meetings. I just, and then I'm cured. So yeah, it's the type of thing where I have to kind of I'd love to overshare and talk about it more than I should, but it's in you know my I don't want to embarrass my wife, so I gotta try to behave as best I can. So we're looking at building some Rangemaster circuits. I just finished the bass amp. It seems overpowered. It's got this like 300-watt amp board in it, and I'm gonna pull that board out. I'm gonna put one of the old boards that I'm used to working with. Um, we got two Rangemasters, which the Dallas Rangemaster, if you look into it, like on Wikipedia, they'll tell you Rory Gallagher, um, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Mark Bolan, Billy Gibbons. A lot of like Holy Grail tone guys used a Dallas Rangemaster. Now, Dallas is not Texas, it's London. The Dallas Music Corporation of London, they were a corporation formed in 1959, and they made guitars and amplifiers, and they also made the Rangemaster. Nobody knows who actually invented it. It's not a pedal, it's a box. It's a square box that's rectangular shaped that sits on top of the amplifier. It's got a potentiometer, a single germanium transistor, a battery, 4 capacitors, 5 resistors or something. It's like one of those like 11 components in the circuit. And those can be the best. Now, I did a fuzz face demo years ago, and I got some compliments on that. Um, I did a couple of them, and people really liked the demo song that I made. And some of the people that commented on it were people that I hold in very high regard. So that was really shocking to me. And the point that I'm getting at is I am not a fuzz face guy. Like, I really don't like the fuzz face. And that's not to take a shot at you. If you're out there and you're watching this video for some reason and you love a fuzz face, I'm not taking a shot at you. I'm not saying, oh, well, if you use a fuzz face, that's because you're an idiot. Because I use something else, not a fuzz face. That's not it at all. Okay? That's not it at all. And when I made the fuzz face demos, I did a couple of them. I apparently did it right because people that really know about this stuff, well, there was one specific guy who really knows about this stuff, and he commented on my guitar tone in this particular demo video, and it wasn't for his company. It was a completely different company that he had nothing to do with. So that let me know, like, well, hey, kid, you did all right on that fuzz face demo. And the other one, I know. Well, there were other people that made comments on it too, but yeah, I was able to pull it off and get a really good representation of what this circuit is supposed to sound like optimally when you're pairing it properly with a single coil guitar when it's first in the chain. There isn't any buffer or any other circuitry to impede the tone that you can only really get if you do it that way. So yeah, I did it right. I played to that when I did the demo songs, and the results were really good. Despite that, it's just not it's not what I'm into. And like when we had a couple of songs back in the day that we did where I used that tone with the family band, and I just kind of drifted away from it. It's just one of these things where Where I'm at now is clean boosts rather than a fuzz face. If you could picture the difference between a fuzz face and then a clean boost that doesn't really change the sound of the guitar or the amp, they're totally different things. And that's what I've been digging on is this clean boost thing. Now, the the Dallas Rangemaster, this falls in between those two, but I think it's closer to the clean boost than it's closer to the Rangemaster, depending on how you set it. If you dime it, yeah, maybe it'll be a little bit closer to a little bit, but I'm not going to be I'm going to be setting it at noon, so it's going to be much closer to the clean boost. So I've got the components. I purchased parts to build two of those circuits, and I'm super excited about that. That's what I'm going to be doing next, working on these Rangemasters. We got a whole set of new music. It's more adventurous. On the backing tracks are more. I use a bunch of synthesizers, and it's kind of a little bit more adventurous. It's a little bit more unusual. And then we've got new sounds from the bass. My wife has a new bass guitar, which is a completely different sound to it. And she's got a new effector, and we're experimenting with the Terra Echo, the Boss Terra Echo effect, over a lot of those songs. So getting all this stuff to line up, the volume levels and all of the extra synth parts that are on the backing tracks, getting my patches lined up with this. It's a guitar that has a single coil and then a hot rail. And I'm doing something new where I'm using Vox AC30, Vox AC15, using JC120. I'm using these clean amps that are edge of breakup tones that use clean boosts. So that's a whole new thing kind of for me with the guitar. And I'm using a real lot of delay, tap tempo with reverb. And then my wife has a different thing going on. So getting all of that work, all of these machines and these backing tracks to line up to where it sounds good has been like bitten off way more than I thought that I could chew. Like, I thought, oh, I'll get this dialed in and it won't be a big deal, and we'll be able to, after a couple of times, everything will be fine, and then we'll be able to work on, I can start playing them and learn how I'm going to actually play these songs. Well, that hasn't been the case at all. It's been like a lot of work, a lot of adjustment, a lot of tweaking is what they call it, to get everything to the point where I can kind of relax and not be sitting off there sulking because something's wrong. Because I need everything to sound right for me to be able to kind of relax and do my thing and play. And at that point, like, I've written the backing tracks, but I haven't learned how to play the pieces yet. I put these songs together as an idea. Actually executing it and playing it properly is a completely different thing. This is how it works for me. So that's where I'm at right now. We're like just about ready to go. There still needs some ironing out of some little wrinkles between the volume levels of the backing tracks, between my wife's multi-effector, which is new, and she has a new bass, and then my multi-effector, which they're complicated. They're amp sims, cabinet sims with multi-effects built in, and then I'm using an effects loop with external pedals. And we had everything that could go wrong. We had heterodyne oscillation issues, and we had some kind of nasty distortion from a real cheap boost pedal that I bought. I bought one of these cheap Chinese clones. You see all these review channels where they get these cheap pedals and they just put them down and play them. Oh, that's not how it works in real life. You kind of combine one of those cheap Chinese pedals with a bunch of other pedals or an amp sim, and then what you'll find out if you're me is that it's not going to work. By itself, yeah, it'll work fine. But when you start combining with stuffs, that's when the problems happen. So we had some nasty, unpleasant sounding, like really bad distortion on the cheap booster, and then the cheap overdrive, which was a Mosky Silver Horse, that had a heterodyne oscillation. And I did video on that. I managed to fix that. I replaced the charge pump IC chip. They used a really cheap chip to double the voltage from 9 volt to 18. It gives you more headroom, and they do that in this pedal. You know, that's one of the selling points of it. And they use a really cheap chip that's not supposed to be used in audio applications. And they used it. And when you use it with something else that has another clock in it, like I said, if you use it by itself, it won't have a problem. But if you use it in a more complicated setup, you're going to have heterodyne oscillation, which is a fancy word for, it sounds like a tea kettle whistling. So yeah, there's been, this year was going so good, and then it just nosedived like a week after my birthday. And I'm looking forward to things getting better, everything improving magically next year. The economy, no more of this let's go Brandon. It's just gonna, the world is just gonna get better. Prices are gonna come down. Everyone's gonna be happy and healthy. No more plagues and pestilence. So let's all hope for the best and enjoy happy holidays in 2023. You guys take care of yourselves. Hug your loved ones. Hug your pets. That's important. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And peace.